This is a usual... How do you say it?
Isekai. Isekai is how you say it.
This is a usual isekai, where he has all the powers. Literally, all the magic power. And he figures things out that no one else in the world managed to, despite only having been there for 3 years. Everyone is always impressed by him, by everything he does. He's shy and always embarrassed about being praised, which is constantly. The praise goes further because he's a child, even though he's a 40-year-old Japanese businessman. You know, the usual thing. Although it's extra weird because they seem to be pushing some romance with an actual child. I mean, in the show, you know what I mean. And again, he's a 40-year-old Japanese businessman. And he doesn't tell anybody that fact because isekai... Because isekai... Okay, fuck it. Because isekai protagonists have to fucking keep that a secret all the time forever. You can't just tell people. Anyway, at least this guy isn't some pervert, and there's nothing sexual about it. So your choice on how weird you find it. Still kinda weird. He also starts out with super strength, despite being in the body of a small child, like a stick figure, to the point where he can kick through a big tree right when he gets there. Just day one, right away. On top of all the magic. We also discover that he's not just figuring things out, he created 2 new species without even knowing it. This is explained by the literal god who created them, who is surprised by what he did. Yes, even doing the most basic shit, just living his life, he just accidentally creates species, because no one else happened to do such mundane things around slimes. Very common monster in the world that many tamers start with, apparently. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, whatever, the camera wasn't on, so nothing happened in the world until he showed up. Don't worry about it, don't think about it. He's immediately praised by noblemen and gods. He starts out with 3 gods, then by episode 3 we're told even more gods are taking interest in him. Despite these gods generally not being interested in isekai protagonists, he's just that good. Even better than the other isekai protagonists, he receives more blessings from more gods. Not that we go into that, we're just kind of told about it and then it doesn't even matter the whole season. But just so you know, he's even more special than you already thought, dude. He's even more powerful. What is the power even for? Who knows, but he's got it. Also, after hunting for 3 years, he's a master archer and is basically Legolas. He can just do everything pretty much from the start. There's also always people watching him and praising him for it, despite being given this power and despite not even knowing what he's doing when he does things like create new species. It's just that kind of show. Doesn't matter. Good job. You did it. You figured it out. You're not really in control of this ship. Whatever. It would have been more interesting if he was at least just given the ability to use every kind of magic. With a focus on taming magic, he'd still be overpowered, but it wouldn't be so boring. There was really no reason for him to be so physically strong or to be an expert archer. He doesn't even need it. Everything's just kind of thrown on there despite the redundancy, seemingly just for the sake of making the self-insert character stronger. The protagonist is also boring. He's just a generic polite guy. That's it. They give him some kind of sad backstory about being abused as a child and working for a black company as an adult. But none of it really matters. Once he's a child, he's basically just a blank slate. There's almost no reason to even make him an isekai protagonist, other than an explanation for why he's so overpowered. Although there is at least an interesting use of slime, depending on your definition of interesting. You see, in episode 1, we're introduced to his slimes. One of the species he made is shit slimes, which eat shit. In episode 4, he gets a quest to clean communal bathrooms that are full of shit. So he has the shit slimes eat the shit. This is an important mission that only he can do, because the shit has created a miasma that only he and his slimes can deal with because he's so powerful. And his slimes gained resistance to miasma. I'm not joking, this is a whole episode, okay? It's real, I'm not even making it up. He has to go in to spray shit off the ceiling and the walls with water magic so his slimes can consume it. While he's doing this, there is a regiment of adventurers outside guarding the toilets. I'm not joking, okay? Making sure no one goes into the dangerous communal bathroom. They're out there praising his work ethic and bravery, telling him to take a break, to take some rest, but he won't. He keeps spraying that shit off the walls and his slimes keep eating. I don't want to talk about this episode anymore. Anyway. The shit slimes multiply because they've been eating so much shit, and 1,000 of them combine to form a king shit slime. The king shit slime has a gluttony skill that lets it eat more shit. He has over 3,000 shit slimes, so he has 3 king shit slimes going around eating shit. while he sprays the walls and ceilings. This is a real episode. If you want to see an overpowered block of wood get praised constantly, then get embarrassed for being praised, then watch this show. This is Validation the anime, except the validation is for external factors that had nothing to do with him really, so even as a self-insert fantasy about being praised all the time, it fails. Unless you think everything you're handed is something you deserve because you're such a nice guy. I'm not sure why they even made it an isekai. The story he makes up to tell the nobles would work fine for the actual story. It'd also make the character more interesting, make the romance thing less weird. He could just be an overpowered kid. He could even still talk to the gods since he was praying in the cave for years. He could still have blessings. I don't see why they made this an isekai. He pretty much acts the same as the other kid, and he doesn't have much of a personality. So the isekai aspect seems pointless. They get creative with the slimes though. It's interesting enough to hold your attention, but everything else drags it down. At some point, they even make a business around the slimes, but they go more in depth with the way it works and setting up the business in certain shows like Make You Black Company, which are supposedly centered on business. I'd like it if they went even further on these things and had less of the isekai circle jerk shit, but it's still the strength of the show. Although he did basically get a golden spoon shoved into his mouth when he met the nobles, basically becoming part of their family, but it's still okay. Just another aspect that would be improved if he had to struggle a bit more, even with his crazy magic powers. And real quick, I just have to mention that in the second season, I don't want to talk about the second season too much, but they have a Tamers Guild, right? Several locations of these Tamers Guilds, there's ranks and everything, and then they have slime researchers, apparently, in this Tamers Guild. People researching slime, that's what they do, that's what they're there for. He talks to them, and these people say that nobody knows how slimes evolve. They don't know how it happens. It's a mystery. There's just no way of knowing. They never tried feeding the slimes anything. They never considered that the diet has anything to do with it. They never considered that the area they live in, right, their habitat, might have something to do with it. It's a complete mystery, dude. They just had no idea. Metal slimes appear in caves. Who knows why? Complete mystery, guys. No idea. How can you make the other people in the world so galactically stupid? I have to mention it. It's just too stupid. They just fed them normal animal food just like they fed everything else. No one ever figured this one out at all. You know, this metal slime eats metal. How do you think you take a normal slime and turn it into a metal slime? How could that possibly happen? There's no way of knowing, guys. I guess it just randomly evolves into a fucking metal slime. There's no way of knowing that a metal slime that eats metal would perhaps evolve from eating metal or living around metal. They have no idea. You have a world with an association for studying monsters, and you have specific people set out to research these monsters, slimes, right? And no one ever figured this out. The diet or habitat might have something to do with it. Even in the real world, people understand that about real animals, let alone magic animals that completely evolve and turn into different things based on what they eat and take on the properties and everything. It's just so stupid. And this guy was here for 3 years and he figured that out just fine, sitting around in a cave, walking around a forest. He figured it out pretty much immediately, pretty quick, pretty easy. These people have to be told. It's like the world just doesn't exist outside of this guy. It's fucking stupid. It's too stupid, dude. It's fucking bizarre, dude. It's just too much. It's beyond the suspension of disbelief that other people in the world are this stupid. You know, that they're just that incompetent. They just can't figure anything out. The most basic shit eludes them until this kid, well, this 40-year-old man, you know, he comes and he tells them after a few years of being here everything about monster evolution, slimes and everything, the slime researchers, you know, because they just couldn't figure it out. It's just too stupid. Too much. What the fuck? Why? He's already overpowered. He's already successful. What more do you want? Everyone in the world has to be stupid compared to you so you can just tell them everything and be praised for it? Wow, how did he figure this out? The second season so far, I've only watched a couple episodes right now, it seems worse, dude. Shit's getting dumber. He already had enough. But I guess they had to explain why, you know, no one ever made these other slimes. How did no one ever create these basic slimes? That seems pretty important, right? Pretty useful. You feed a slime like an antidote or something, and it can just produce antidote? Just, even if it's only so much per day, like that's amazing, right? It can produce all this stuff. Just pour it out of the slime into a bottle and you've got it. That's amazing. So the only way we can act like it's special that he has all these things, right? Or a slime that would eat dirt or whatever, or clean things, is that everybody else is just too stupid and they just somehow never had a slime around anything? And no one observed this, no one figured this out ever? Just him. A kid hanging around some signs of the Force. It was just him, dude. Oh yeah, and a bit of a spoiler. In case you were gonna watch the show, just warning you. But here's a clip I want to show you where the people are just congratulating him so much it's like that scene from Evangelon. They're just actually doing this. This pretty much encapsulates the whole show. I'm just gonna put it out there. Hopefully, I don't have to cut it out because it gets blocked in every country or something, but here you go.
お前おめでとうございます、龍馬さん。すごいにゃ
お見事でござる。
ー。ほんとすっごい。
大したやつだぜ。
貴重なものを見ることができました。リムールバードをチューマにするなんてね。
あやかりたいものである。エリアも龍馬くんも成功してよかった。
おめでとうございます、龍馬様。
リムールバードとの契約はとっても難しいのよ。それも一